Drawing, all right?
Germany.
Yeah, that's Germany, guys. Yeah, I know, it's pretty bad. So this is my interpretation of Germany. You know, I take after Picasso, really. Okay, now just to give you an idea of where everything is, Poland's up there, over there, this is north here. Poland, France, the Netherlands. So if you guys want to stand in your respected areas, feel free to do that. Okay. There he goes. Excellent. All right. So he's representing the Netherlands. All right. Totally in his way. That's okay. All right. So what was going on with Germany before World War II was even over? You had the Yalta Conference. All right. Now the Yalta Conference was this big meeting between three bigwigs. All right. You had Roosevelt, who was representing America. You had Churchill, who was representing the British, and then you had Stalin, who was representing the Soviets. All right, now they all gathered together at the Yalta Conference, and what they wanted to do was they wanted to decide how to restabilize Germany, all right, after the war was pretty shook up, right? So they decided that they were going to separate it, restabilize it in their own ways, and then maybe one day bring it back together, all right? So this is how they separated it. They gave a massive chunk of the East over to the Soviets, all right? Reason being, the Soviets lost the most amount of people in the war. They lost about 23 million people in the war. And they were here first, so first come, first serve. And then for us Americans, because we love beer, mountains, and the Oktoberfest, we took southern Bavaria land, all right? And then, you know, for the French, for their huge effort in the war, we gave them a little chunk right there, okay? And then the British had the industrial Rhineland. All right, now Berlin was located right about here. It's not really drawn to scale, but you know, it works. So Berlin was deep in the heart of the Soviet sector. All right, now there's a very famous guy by the name of Lenin, all right, not John Lennon, who once said, "He who controls Berlin controls all of Germany, and he who controls Germany controls all of Europe." All right, so you can imagine when Stalin found out that Berlin was deep in the heart of his territory, he was really excited. You know, started blowing up hammer and sickle beach balls, drinking some vodka, having a grand old time. All right, well, the Allies came along and soon put an end to his party. They were like, "Listen, Stalin, buddy old pal, you cannot have Berlin all to yourself. We actually have to divide up Berlin as well." So they divided it up like so, giving a big chunk of the East over to the Soviets, big chunk of the South to the Americans, a little corner up there for the French, and then in the middle, the British, right? So then what happened was you had the French and the British and the Americans all coming together to form West Berlin. Then you had East Berlin, all within East Germany here, and then West Germany here. You guys following so far?
Yep.
All right, excellent. Now everything was going according to plan up until 1948. In 1948, West Germany introduced the Western Deutschmark, which was worth a whole lot more than the Eastern Deutschmark. All right, so you had all these East Germans who were living this, you know, communist lifestyle, and they didn't want to do that. They wanted to go live their capitalistic, democratic lifestyle, so they all started flooding over into West Germany, all right, which is causing an economic crisis over in East Germany. Okay, so so basically that's when the Iron Curtain developed, right? Not the physical Iron Curtain or anything like that, but a barrier not only between East Germany and West Germany, but also through Hungary and Austria and down to the Mediterranean Sea. So dividing up Europe. Okay, so you had all these East Germans who were living on the eastern side, and they felt like they were stuck, and they were. They couldn't cross from East Germany over to West Germany any longer. All right, so that's when they started flooding into West Berlin. All right, West Berlin was like a little pocket of hope. All right, so they all started flooding in, thousands by the day. All right, so East Germany was losing all its very skilled workers, you know, all of its doctors, lawyers, tour guides, people that keep the economy flowing. Yes, thank you for the pity laugh, guys. All right, keep the economy flowing, so they decided to take action. All right, what they decided to do was in the middle of the night on August 12th, so technically August 13th, 1961, a Saturday night, what they did was they mobilized 30,000 troops and they set up a barbed wire fence surrounding West Berlin. All right, now this was in East German territory, so it's completely legal for them to do, right? And the whole idea wasn't to prevent anybody from getting out of West Berlin, it was to prevent anybody from getting into West Berlin. All right, now this did happen overnight, and the barbed wire fence wasn't something you could just jump over. I mean, a massive barbed wire fence and layers of barbed wire, so you could not just run right through it. Okay, so this is happening overnight, so it's very devastating for people. say for example, you know, you had grown up in West Berlin and it's where your family was, but you decided to move over to East Berlin to get, you know, a better education, or cheaper education at least, then immediately, you know, you're cut off from your family. Or maybe you worked over in West Berlin, but maybe, you know, you lived in East Berlin when you lost your job. Or, you know, say for example, since it was a Saturday night, maybe you grew up in West Berlin. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
You grew up in West Berlin, and you'd like heard of this really cool club over in East Berlin. You decided to go check it out, you know, and maybe you find a cute little East Berlin chick. Maybe you decide to go home with her for the night. Well, what you thought was going to be an awesome one-night stand ended up you being screwed for the next 28 years. Right, so it's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. Yeah, you gotta watch yourself, okay? Yeah, it was devastating for people. Now, where we are today, Checkpoint Charlie. Checkpoint Charlie would have been right about here, all right, connecting the Soviet side, which is actually on this side here, with the American side, which is across the street, which you'll see here in a second, all right? Now, it's not named after some famous guy named Charlie, all right, so don't get confused with that. It's named after the American military alphabet, all right? So you actually had, you know, an Alpha down here, a Bravo here, a little highway connecting the two, and then Checkpoint Charlie in the middle of the city. All right, now the reason that Checkpoint Charlie is so famous, the reason we're here today and all these other tourists are walking around, is because this was where all the diplomats would cross from side to side. All right, so then a lot of media attention would focus right here at Checkpoint Charlie. So it became a big focal point for the Cold War. You know, not a whole lot of guns and fighting going on in the Cold War. So this was the kind of the focal point. Whenever you turned on the TV, you saw Checkpoint Charlie. All right, so very important place, and I want to give you guys the opportunity to walk around and check things out. And they've done a great job with this area. You'll notice when you walk over there, just right around this corner, you'll see the replica of the checkpoint. All right, so they have that. They also have some people out there that are standing in uniform. Costs €1 to get your picture with them, so keep that in mind. All right, and then they also have all these billboards you see over there, and some of them show kind of what it used to look like in 1961. Some of them have some pretty cool stories and things like that, so take a moment to look at those as well. And then has anybody noticed, along the streets of Berlin, there's 2 rows of cobblestones? You guys seen those?
Yeah.
You haven't seen it yet? Okay, well what it indicates is where the wall used to be. So you'll sometimes see these 2 rows, this row of 2 cobblestones, and they have them right over in the street over here. So as you're walking towards the checkpoint, just look at the ground and you'll see them. And maybe you can get, you know, your 1 foot in the east, 1 foot in the west photograph, kind of that kind of stuff. Just embrace your tourism, okay? You're allowed to on this tour, all right? But take about 5 minutes and go check everything out.